A quiz like no other.
Silver iodide.
You're right.
Where the passion is off the scale. And even losing teams are treated like heroes. It is joyous, glorious and raucous. And one amazing woman holds it together. This is Ghana's National Science and Maths Quiz, and meet Professor Elsie Effah Kaufmann.
Science everywhere around us.
I'm delighted to welcome Professor Elsie Effah Kaufmann to All Things Quiz. She's the Dean of the School of Engineering Sciences at the University of Ghana and the host of Ghana's National Science and Maths Quiz. Welcome to All Things Quiz.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
It's so great to have you here. The quiz that you host was one of the things I discovered during lockdown on YouTube, and absolutely love it. It's quite something else. Now, for people who haven't watched it, it's been going since 1993, and it's a tough and very hotly contested competition for school pupils from across Ghana. There's regional heats, and then national finals, and then a grand final, which is a really big affair, which is televised and live streamed. Is it fair to say it's Ghana's biggest quiz?
Easily the biggest, yes. It's the biggest and the best known quiz. It's been going for 30 years, televised for 30 years. There's no program like it. So yes, it's the biggest quiz in Ghana.
And it is quite incredible. I would say there's no quiz like it maybe in Ghana, but I haven't seen any quiz like it anywhere.
Yes, let me mention that we've had one competition, one international competition, just one. In 2007, Africa Science and Math Quiz, which was between Nigeria and Ghana. Of course, Ghana was. Yes, we need to do more of that. So I look forward to international competitions.
That would be
that
wonderful, because having seen that the passions that get ignited in London between Nigerians and Ghanaians about whose jollof is better, I can imagine the rivalry when it comes to quiz. So that's an African tournament. It'd be great. It'd be great to get your pupils against pupils from around the world. That would be quite something. Maybe that's something that for the future might happen. But how did you get involved? You've been host since 2006. You're the third host of the competition. How did you become involved?
The interesting thing was that I wasn't even watching this quiz program on TV when it was being aired. I came to Ghana after my education outside Ghana. So I returned to Ghana in 2001, and I was appointed to the Department of Physics at the University of Ghana. So I was going about my regular business as a lecturer, university lecturer. And then my head of department at the time was the physics consultant on the program. And so at that time, the quiz mistress was getting ready to go to her PhD outside Ghana. They were looking for a replacement. And I guess because of the way I carried myself about in the department and how I was working with the students, he felt I could do this. So he approached me to find out if I was interested in hosting the program. Of course, I knew nothing about it because I wasn't watching TV. And so then I had to go find out a bit more about it. I was invited to be on set for the recording for that year's quiz program. That was 2005. And so I went to watch. I interacted with the quiz mistress at the time, and I decided after watching one recording that, yes, I can do this. And that's how I got onto the team. I didn't know what I was getting myself into.
It is quite a step, isn't it? You know, it's one thing being an academic and lecturing or speaking to a relatively small group of people. It's quite another thing to put yourself in front of TV cameras to the whole of the country and then the world beyond. Were you quite kind of self-conscious about that at first? You've clearly grown into the role, certainly, but what was it like that first time when you were the host and the focus was on you?
Well, maybe if I had thought more about it, I would have been more nervous. but I didn't. I just felt I had to do this, pay attention to the camera, and that would be okay. And so I didn't really worry myself too much about it.
Yeah, and you really
Yes.
you really bring a lot of your own personality into the show as well. You're not, to me, it feels very natural and very much at home when you're there.
Yes, that's the idea. One of the objectives of the quiz is to make science approachable. And so I do my very best to be as normal as possible,
Mm,
to talk about normal things, to try and relate science in everyday life.
mm.
Uh, and so I come, I present myself, I don't pretend to be somebody else. No, no, no. I just bring myself and I try to get people interested in the subjects. Yes.
And talking about the subjects, and matches have 5 different rounds, which have different formats that test different skills. Um, Maths, chemistry, biology, and physics. That's the core subject matter. And it's not just the recall of facts, which a lot of
Not
quizzes
at
are. It tests the understanding of the subjects. To me, because I did a history degree, my background is humanities. It seems like a very, very difficult quiz, which is part of the reason why I'm in awe of the pupils who perform on so well on stage. Does it represent kind of the hardest content in the school curriculum, or does it go beyond that? Where is it pitched? Is it something that, an 18-year-old about to graduate high school, this is the stuff they should know, or is it kind of a level above that?
When we start, when we start with the preliminary rounds and even the regional competitions, we are targeting high school students in Ghana.
Hmm.
So they take this exam, the West African School Certificate exam, the WACSI, and we basically model the questions after those topics that you find in that examination for high students. However, the quarterfinals onwards, we tighten the screws a little bit. What we have noticed, if you've been following, and it seems you've done a lot of research on our quiz, from the early days, they had very simple questions. Now, I'm afraid if I were to ask those types of questions, they would think I was insulting their intelligence. So it's become more and more difficult and more applied over the years. Um, but certainly for a large majority of the contests that we have, it's in the syllabus of the high schools.
Hmm.
Yes. Just
And
that the finals is always a little more interesting. We try to do some more general things for a larger audience to appreciate.
hmm.
Yes. But generally, the quarterfinals are the most difficult. No, the semifinals, sorry. The
Hmm.
semifinals are the most difficult.
Well, I watch it and I feel totally inadequate, so I am in awe of the teams. When the teams give you wrong answers, one of the things I've noticed, particularly in the more applied questions, is that you explain why their answer was wrong and why the correct answer is right, which means that you've got a deep understanding of every question because you don't know when that's going to be needed.
In sickle cell anemia, the red blood cell is crescent shaped and elongated, stiffened, reducing the ability to deliver oxygen. But I also expected you to add something about what it is that makes it abnormal. The hemoglobin, right? So instead of the normal hemoglobin, you have hemoglobin S, which has a lower affinity for oxygen, right? Uh-huh.
Are you involved in the writing of the questions and the compiling of them, or do you just prepare once they've been written?
All of the above. So there's a consultant team. There's a consultant team
Mm,
in place. There's a subject consultant for every subject. So I have 4 subject consultants. And then there's me, I'm the general consultant.
mm,
And we moderate these questions. That means we read out, we listen to, and then we check for accuracy at meetings. So we have these moderation meetings. I chair those meetings. So each subject consultant will set their questions and they come and read all these questions and we agree that this is how we're going to do it. Sometimes we even talk about mark allocation.
mm,
And I, as a general consultant, am to listen to these questions and make sure that they work for the rounds for which they are presenting the questions. So I make sure that the content is right for the level of competition. If it's quarterfinals, it has to be a certain level of difficulty. If it's final, it has to be a certain character. So I'm responsible for all of those things. And then once I receive the questions, so I reject some questions, obviously, because not all of them will be suitable. And then once I receive the questions that we're going to use, I sit down and I study each one of them to make sure that I have a good understanding of the questions myself. And then I go on stage and deliver on behalf of the team. So that's how that works out. We've been able to actually direct the study of science in Ghana by a selection of questions. So if we see that students have difficulty with certain concepts, we may hammer on that concept in one year. The students and their teachers get very upset for that year. By the time they come the following year, they've mastered that concept. So it's been very interesting. It's been very, very interesting.
Trust me, by next year, our contestants will know what to do with a question like this.
It's fascinating hearing that it has an impact, because I think, you know, the love of knowledge and the demonstration of knowledge, I think for a lot of us is, you know, it's innate, and it, you know, it's why we quiz, etc. But to see that it can then influence education more widely by saying this is valuable, you should know this. I think that's tremendous, and I doubt there are that many TV shows that achieve that. There are a number of teams, they're all school teams, a number of teams that have won the title multiple times, notably Presec Legon, the most recent winners, and you've got Prempeh, you've got a bunch of others. What does it take for a team or a school to be successful? What do they have to do to become the champion?
Well, so you'll see the contestants on stage. Normally we have two contestants on stage at any moment in time. Behind that team of two, there is a whole battalion of people that are doing different things. So they have their coaches, they have their teammates who are responsible for finding information. They have the following years. Okay, so this is 2024. We have two contestants on stage at a time. They would have an extra contestant. So they present three contestants. So there's an extra person who is ready to come on at any moment. And then they have the team from the team that will be coming up in 2025. They have the team that will probably be coming up in 2026. All of these are supporting this team, right? Then there's also the school environment. Some head teachers, and you'll be amazed how much support they have from the school authorities. The headmasters, the headmistresses are supporting their team, making sure that they have the resources they need in terms of internet access. By the way, schools in Ghana, and the students are not supposed to use telephones or even have electronic devices. So you can imagine that to be able to access information, they have to have special permissions and the support of the school authorities to be able to find information for studying. Then they also have the old student associations. They take this as the most important activity in the year, because if your school loses, I mean, the teasing and the and the other things that go on, it's not pleasant. And then if you win, I mean, you have bragging rights for a whole year. So it's a big support system that they have. This is how they organize themselves to be. And so to be able to be successful, you need to have all of these things in place. When the organization behind the contestants on stage is disorganized, it shows. There are some schools, and especially the girls' schools, they don't have that foresight to have three teams in place at a time, several years. They generally select their students after they do their mock examinations for the West African exams, by which time it's way too late. The students have not had enough practice and preparation. So the teams that normally win, they have all of this going for them. They have, they are very purposeful and ready to compete.
One of the challenges, not just in Ghana, presumably, but everywhere, certainly in the UK, is kind of breaking the gender kind of barrier within STEM subjects. So
Yes.
I don't know. I guess, what would it take? Do these schools have to really just throw resource at it? Is it lack of understanding of what it takes? Can the women and the girls break through?
I believe they can eventually.
Mm.
I've seen a whole process going on, a transformation going on. When I first started in 2006, it was a problem with confidence.
Mm.
So the young ladies will come on stage and you will see them, even arguing with each other about who was going to answer the question because they were shy. At that age, they care very much about their image and what others are going to say if they got the question wrong and what comments the boys would make and so on. So they were really concerned about their image. They were very shy. I would sometimes hear them whispering the right answers, but they would not be willing to speak it out. Those days are gone. I mean, they no longer do that, right? So I see that they are more determined to win. However, as I mentioned, the practice that it takes to get to the winning level, there are limitations. So, for example, if you look at some of these boys' schools, by the way, most of the science teachers in Ghana are male. If you look at the profile of coaches, we would have more than 100 schools being represented. Last competition, I think we had 145 or so schools. You can count on a finger or on a hand, so less than 5 female coaches. It's that bad. Okay, so these young people spend a lot of time studying and a lot of time being coached. We also have the situation where parents would not be happy having their female their daughters being coached by male teachers overnight, for example. Sometimes they live in the same room, studying, practicing, and so on. This is not going to happen in a girls' school where most of the teachers are male anyway. See, so they are limited in the kinds of things that they can do. They also haven't had a history of winning. So, I mean, unless they are being coached by a school that has this formula down, it's going to be hard for them. But some are doing very, very well. The last time I had a female school in the finals, that was 2013. That was in Fantaman Girls. I got so upset. I couldn't show how upset I was, but I was upset because the young ladies were there. You have done so well to get to the finals, and it seems as if they had already, they had already reached their objective. They did not put in any effort to try to win at all. So that level of competition, that willingness to go to the last stage sometimes is missing from the young ladies.
Well, hopefully over time that will change and you'll see more and more representation and that will inspire others to go for it. But these things do take time when you've got a lot of kind of systemic challenges to overcome. But back to the positives of the tournament. One of the things that's very characteristic for me and very kind of alien to my experience of quizzing is the fervor and the passion of the supporters. It's the only thing I can liken it to is like football supporters. It's got all of that kind of sort of tribal kind of loyalty without the downsides of our football supporters. So it's joyous, it's positive. You get I've seen episodes where they're like the bands playing the school anthem. You've got cheering, you've got singing. I've even seen a competition stopped for prayers. It's a very to me different culture, but it makes it a really joyous competition to watch. A bit chaotic, but absolutely joyous. How difficult does all of that make it for you to keep the game going? Because in the midst of all of that, you're running a competition.
Yes. So I have to be really focused and alert. There's always a lot happening. I've on occasion had to stop to chastise people in the crowd to get them to keep quiet so we can hear. There's always a lot going on.
Please allow us to continue. Please. It takes a lot of concentration to do this.
Yes, our supporters are very passionate about this. And I think it's also a bit of the way in which our secondary schools have evolved over the years. Our secondary schools, most of them are boarding schools. And in the early days, it was an intentional thing to bring people from different parts of the country together. So at a time, it was actually 5 years to do O levels, and then 2 years to do A levels. So somebody who could be in a school for 7 good years, they begin to feel, they have a strong affiliation for their school. They have a close bond with the school. Everything about the school, they know the school songs, they know the school culture, they know the slogans, they know everything about the school. And when they graduate and leave, they don't forget this. So we have people who are more attached to their secondary schools, their high schools, than they are to their universities. So this is what brings this in. So when the competition begins, it's a matter about the reputation of the school. And people remember all those feelings they had when they were in that school, that strong bonds that they have with the school and with their schoolmates, past, current, and future.
Yeah.
Because people are decided to go to certain schools based on the outcome of this competition. You see. So yes, this is why they feel so passionate about it, and they will do anything. And Ghanaian culture, we are very expressive in the way we do our things, and so we're not going to sit quietly and clap nicely. No, we don't do that. We have to jump up, we have to sing, we have to dance, we have to say those loud prayers. Yes.
Yeah. But I think it's wonderful, and I've seen videos of winning teams arriving back at their home school and being mobbed as if they're celebrities. I mean, it, I would encourage anybody who hasn't watched these videos, and I'll put a link below in the description, to watch some of these videos and see the absolute joy that people take in the success of others, as well as the competitors themselves. It's quite something. There are cash prizes for the school and for some of the players, when if they win or if they get to the final. But beyond that, what does it mean for the winners, the successful players? Does it open doors for them into academia and careers and things like that?
Absolutely. So many of our young contestants, once they finish with the program, they are applying to universities. And I'm happy to say that we have some that have gone to universities all over the world, especially North America. So I've heard, for example, that at MIT, there is a club, an NSMQ club. When you get there from Ghana, they ask you, were you a contestant on the National Science and Math Quiz? And if you were, they receive you with open arms. That's what I've heard. I haven't seen it for myself, but that's what I've heard. And what generally happens is that when these young children, these young students are applying for universities, they go back and take the videos of themselves on the competition as part of the evidence of their brilliance. And many of them have gone to some of the best schools around the world. So yes, it helps them a lot. And from their own testimony, at least the ones who have spoken to me in the past, it prepares them for university. Because they're already at a very high level when it comes to the sciences and mathematics. These are champions. I mean, they have no trouble with those subjects. They generally go to medical school, they go to engineering school, and they are doing all kinds of sciences, the basic sciences as well. And so they are very well prepared. The discipline of studying is not a problem for them. So they are able to focus, they are able to do amazing things. Yes, they already know how to collaborate. They are working in teams. And so they are able to do amazing things, honestly.
There are other quizzes that I found that happen in Ghana. The Sharks quiz, which is general knowledge, Karimbu quiz show, which is history and geography. What do you know? How popular is quizzing in Ghana in general? Your competition's an institution, but more generally, is it a popular pastime and a popular kind of thing to watch?
Yes, Ghanaians love quizzes. So Even in basic schools, you will find varieties of quizzes that are available. Church groups are having quizzes, social groups. I even get invited I have an invitation coming up in September to go to one Rotary club to go and see if I can quiz them on something. So yes, we love quizzes. We love quizzes. So there are a variety of them that are available, and they see entertainment really.
Mm.
Yes.
Of the big kind of international formats like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and The Chase, have any of these kind of made it to TV in Ghana?
Yes. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was in Ghana for a couple of years.
Mm,
I don't know what happened, but they didn't stay long.
mm.
Um, yes, that's the one I know about. That's
Okay.
the one I know about. Yes.
So see, but we got all these homegrown competitions,
Oh, yes.
which is
Several of
brilliant.
them. Yeah.
Um, my final question really is, what for you is the best thing about being involved in the National Science and Maths Quiz?
All right. The best thing is my interest in promoting education in Ghana. I consider myself a STEM advocate. And I agreed to do this really because it was an opportunity for me to promote science, technology, mathematics, education in this country. The opportunity to spend time with these very bright young people. I mean, they can do amazing videos, you see. So they are amazing, and these are the people that are going to transform the world. I really believe that because if they go out and they apply the knowledge that they have solving problems in our community, they can just transform everything around them. So the opportunity to be part of something like this, to be able to say I actually have an influence on what happens in this program, there's nothing like it. And I'm most grateful every time I get on stage with those young people.
That's absolutely wonderful and a really nice positive note to end on. It's a fantastic competition, hosted brilliantly by yourself, fantastic players, stupendously good knowledge, and it's thoroughly entertaining to watch. Um, Professor Elsie Effah Kaufmann, thank you so much for giving your time to tell us about your competition and quizzing in Ghana. It's been really appreciated. Thanks so much.
Thank you too. Thank you for having me.
Thanks again to Professor Kaufmann, and please do consider donating to the Elsie Effah Kaufmann Foundation at eekf.org. A small amount of money in pounds or dollars can go a long way in Ghana. Thanks also to our Patreons. Their support of All Things Quiz makes interviews like this possible.